You taking Mark's job
Okay.
tonight?
Are you?
Gemma Cochran, you know Randy Jones, Jason. Steve.
Okay, we would like to call this meeting to order. Dr. Cordolino? Here. Mr. Daughtry?
Here.
Mr. Grau?
Ready.
Dr. Modrak?
Here.
Mr. Morella?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Palma?
Here.
Ms. Zuckerman? Here. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education has approved this meeting date. Notice of this meeting has been posted at the Municipal Building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the Montville Public School website, and advertised in the Daily Record, the board's official newspaper, on January 10th, 2017. Would all rise to pledge allegiance to the flag? I would like to report the outcome of the elections that were held in November with the 3 board members who were elected, the first being Michelle Zuckerman with 2,657 votes, Joseph Daughtry with 2,578 votes, and Michael Palma with 2,575 votes. I am going to ask each one of them to come down to do their oath.
I, Joseph Daughtry, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States and this state, and the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Joseph Daughtry, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of a member of the Board of Education, and that I am disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS Lincoln 4-1, not disqualified due to a conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJSA 18A 12-1, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
I, Michael Palma, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and the state, and to the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Michael Palma, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1, not disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJSA 1880:12-1, that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Thank you.
I, Michelle Zipperman, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state, under the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Michelle Zipperman, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Member of the Board of Education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1, not disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJSA 18A:12-1, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. All three together.
I would like to now open up the floor for nominations for the position of president. Mike?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Charles Brown for president. Second.
Are there any other nominations? I will move to then close nominations. I will now roll call for Charles Brown to be elected as president for the 2018 year. Dr. Portolino?
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry?
Yes.
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Morella?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Mr. Palma?
Yes.
Ms. Zuckerman?
Yes.
Mr. Grau?
No.
I pass on the chairship of this meeting over to the new elected president.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank my colleagues for their vote of confidence in electing me as president of this Board of Education. The Board of Education has had a long outstanding quality of achievement, and I know that all of us up here this evening, along with all of you in the audience, realize that the most important thing we have is our children. And we are charged with an awesome responsibility of making sure that we deliver the best instructional program that we can for the children. I look forward to this next year. I look forward to working with 2 new colleagues as of the present time. One more on the 16th after we do some interviews. And for the older board members, I rely on you for your help and your leadership and your input for this coming year. I also have great confidence in the administration that is presently on staff, and I look forward to working with them. I think we have come a long way in the last 7, 8 years, and I would like to see that legacy continue into the future. I'll have some additional comments at the end of the meeting, but right now I'd like to get back to the agenda and accept nominations for the chair position of vice president.
Mr. Grau, I would like to be my honor to nominate Mr. Michael Palmer for the position of vice president.
Second.
Been a motion by Dr. Corlino, seconded by Mr. Morello. Are there any other nominations? Would someone move the nominations be closed, please? Second? All in favor? Aye. Mrs. Slump, would you please call the roll for the vice president's position?
Dr. Cortellino? Yes. Mr. Daughtry?
Yes.
Mr. Grau?
Yes.
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Morella?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Ms. Zuckerman? Yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Congratulations, Mike. Looking forward to it.
If I could just briefly say, I want to thank my fellow colleagues for something that feels a true honor and a privilege to be able to continue to serve with all of you. I've done for many years. This is the greatest group of people I've ever been known to be associated with. Every person in this room has done things for the children and nothing but the children since they've been here. I feel deeply touched to be able to hold this position. I promise not to let it down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. The next item is the adoption of the Code of Ethics, and I would ask each board member to read one of the paragraphs. We could start with you, Mr. O'Brien, with letter A, please.
Letter A. You will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
B. You will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
You will confine your board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal, and will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
You will carry out your responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with your fellow board members to see that they are well run.
You will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board.
You will refuse to surrender your independent judgment to special interests or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
You will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, you will provide accurate information and, in concert with your fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school.
You will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
You will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties.
You will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meeting only after failure of administrative solution.
Thank you very much. As you people can see, the Code of Ethics is something that the Board of Education lives by. It is very important that we follow these 9 or 11 items here, because that's what our role is. We are not here to run the schools. We are here to see that they are well run. That's why we have very competent administrators in that position. Next items are some normal things that are done at the organizational meeting. Motion for approval of parliamentary procedures.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bylaws, policies, and regulations. On top of page 3, I have it.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call, Mrs. Sargent.
Mr. Daughtry?
Yes.
Mr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Morella?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Mr. Palma?
Yes.
Ms. Zuckerman?
Yes.
Dr. Portolino?
Yes.
Mr. Grau?
Yes. The next item is something is establishing our meeting times and dates. And you might notice that there's a little change from the way we've been doing it. We used to meet at 7 to 7:45 and close, and then public meeting starts at 7:45. Superintendent has recommended that as long as it's not in conflict with anybody, that we move the closed session from 6:30 to 7:30 and start the regular meeting at 7:30. Does anybody have any comments before we introduce that resolution? If it is a problem, we can move it back to the January 16th meeting.
Just a question. If we advertise for 6:30 and then, Dr. Oathcart, in your discretion, you feel we don't need the full hour, we can start later, right?
You could. I mean, you're typically supposed to call the meeting to order at the designated time.
It would, Mike, if we couldn't decide it on that day, we'd have to give 48 hours notice to the newspaper, so if the Renee or Christine felt that the week before we didn't need a whole hour, they'd have to have sufficient time to advertise, but we have to say that 48 hours of notice.
Okay.
Nobody's been polled at all or anything. I know we changed it from 6:30 to 7 because some people had conflicts, but I see Michael Johnson laughing out there. He was the one who was having difficulty getting here at 6:30. Huh? Well, I didn't finish my comment. In addition to him, there were other board members that also had a problem. So it's not just Michael Johnson. But I don't know about 6:30 days. Is it good for everybody? Time?
Fine.
Okay, so then why don't we introduce a resolution approving the board meetings and the locations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Slum.
Dr. Portolino?
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry?
Yes.
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Morella?
Yes.
Mr. Palma?
Yes.
Ms. Zuckerman?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Mr. Grau?
Yes. The way we usually have done this in the past is appointment of board committees and liaisons. If anybody is interested, and I hope you all are, on serving in committees rather than just being assigned, I would appreciate you contacting me prior to the next meeting, because I'd like to get people on the committees that they would like to serve on. Unfortunately, if all 8 people want to be on one committee, that's an impossibility. So if you have your preferences, please either text me, email me, give me a call, and then I'll be making the appointments at the next meeting. Okay, so we can skip that. There are next several items, maybe we can take them as a group. Approval of the internal appointments, all the way up to the end of that resolution, through the end of the tax shelters. It would be about 7 or 8 items. May I have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Slum.
Dr. Portolino?
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry,
Yes.
Mr. Modrak,
Yes.
Mr. Morella,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Aye.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Ms. Zuckerman,
Yes.
Mr. Graham.
Yes. And if we can do the next group, starting with the approval of the banking up through and including the professional services, Phoenix Advisors, and Brown & Brown Insurance Certificates. Again, there's about 7 or 8 items. We could take them as a group. Would someone move them, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Slum?
Dr. Cordellino,
Yes.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry,
Yes.
Mr. Modrak,
Yes.
Mr. Morella,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Aye.
Ms. Zuckerman,
Yes.
Mr. Graham.
Yes. Curriculum resolutions. There's only one on there for the curriculum, approval of the curriculum and textbooks for the next school year 18-19. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Slum?
Dr. Cordellino,
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry,
Yes.
Dr. Modrak,
Yes.
Mr. Morella,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Aye.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Ms. Zuckerman,
Yes.
Mr. Graham.
Yes. That concludes the organizational part of the meeting, and we'll now go to the regular meeting. First item on there is the superintendent's report. Dr. Rotar?
No report.
No report? Okay. We do have items on there to be voted on, which we can do as part of the overall resolutions. Business administrator's report, Mrs. Slum?
We are returning back from the holiday and are starting immediately into the preparation of the budget. The schools and supervisors will be supplying their budgets to the business office for the beginning start of the review of the upper administration this week. And then we will also have later in this month bids going out for the beginning of the construction projects and the issuance of the bonds.
Thank you. The next part is the public participation for any items that are on the regular agenda. If I see no questions,
Darrell, use the microphone.
would someone say something? No? All right, the consent resolutions.
Microphone.
Can you hear better now?
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. Resolutions, the first one's adoption of the minutes. Do we have a resolution, motion in a second, please, and then we'll go through them item by item?
So moved.
To be on the consent resolutions.
The motion is I through M, or N, I through M. Is the motion I through N?
Yes. I don't understand.
Second, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions on the minutes of the 19th meeting? Any questions on item J? K? L, personnel? And N? Roll call, Mrs. Slum, please.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Modrak,
Yes.
Dr. Cordellino,
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry,
Yes.
Mr. Morella,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Aye.
Ms. Zuckerman,
Abstain from I, yes for everything else.
Mr. Graham.
Yes. We don't need a closed work session, do we, Dr. Roker? Do you have anything? Not this evening? Okay, do we have any old business of the board? Any new business? Or general board comments? All right, now we go back to the public. They have an opportunity to speak at this time if they would like. Okay, just as a reminder that the next meeting is January 16th. We will have an agenda that's a little bit more lengthy than the one we have tonight. again, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, would like to encourage my colleagues, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to call administration. I'm always available if you feel the need. I congratulate Joe and Michelle. I congratulate their families. This is the last you'll see of them probably, Tuesday nights. But it's something that I applaud you for seeking a seat on the Board of Education, and I'm sure it'll be very, very enjoyable. Just a housekeeping thing, Mrs. Slunt. February 3rd, Montville High School is having a seminar run by the New Jersey School Boards. The superintendent's evaluation, the new instrument. So if you could register myself and anyone else that would like to go. And Karen, do you know when the next meeting of HESCON Morris County is? I have February 1st, but
Yes.
I think it is February, or I thought it was March.
No, February 1st and then March 28th.
Okay, so if you could register me for those 2 days, please.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, but only one on the first one term.
Maybe another.
Okay, you tell.
I would encourage all board members, especially the new board members, because I know the new board members have to go to an orientation. School boards runs a very excellent program. It's mandated by law, as you know. There's a 3-day seminar. I believe it's down Princeton, Karen? It's down in Princeton. And if you can't make the 3-day, there is an opportunity to go for a shorter period of time. But if you can make the 3-day, I think it'll be very worthwhile to get a great in-service, if we will, from the School Boards Association, which is our parent group, and actually talk and break bread with colleagues who are in the same position you are as new members. And if you can make it, please do so. It'll make you a very valuable board member and be able to contribute a lot faster than you would just going through the cycle. Dr. Rothar and I will be, and Mrs. Slunt will be, meeting with new board members. We haven't come up with a time yet, just to go over some additional information that you might find helpful. Any other comments before we adjourn the meeting? I would like to thank the public for coming out this evening. Looking forward to seeing you in the future. Looking also for your support of our fine educational programs that we have in Montville. And I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, that